Hi everyone, welcome to Dustin the Blind Minnesotan podcast. Today I want to talk about the city of St. Paul. The city of St. Paul is a very important piece of Minnesota because we have a bunch of major cities here that are not famous because of bad incidents. We have Duluth, that's in on the Lake Superior in northeast Minnesota. We have Rochester, that's in southeast Minnesota. Then we have Mankato, that's in southwest Minnesota. We have Wilmer, that's in west Minnesota. We have St. Cloud, that is in central Minnesota. We have Bemidji, that is in north Minnesota. We have Brainerd, that's in north Minnesota. And then we have Minneapolis and St. Paul, that's in South Minnesota. So the most famous city we have right now is Minneapolis, and that's bad press because of the George Floyd thing and all that stuff. And Minneapolis isn't a bad city, you guys. There's just bad areas, and all the negative press is going to, of course, the bad areas. And there's really wealthy areas in Minneapolis too. You know what I mean? That the news doesn't show you because it doesn't get clicks. So right here I have is Union Depot. And Union Depot is the heart of St. Paul. It's the lifeblood of St. Paul. And if you're disabled and you can't drive, because it's where all the public transportation flows to in St. Paul. If you live on the east side of St. Paul, your bus will take you to Union Depot. If you live in the west part of St. Paul, your bus will take you to Union Depot. If you live in the north part of St. Paul, your bus will take you to Union Depot. Even if you take the 3 bus that goes between downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul, the 3 bus ends at Union Depot. If you take the Green Light Rail train that goes from downtown Minneapolis to downtown St. Paul, it ends at Union Depot. So Union Depot is the heart of St. Paul. So if you're disabled and you can't drive, you want to live as close to Union Depot as possible. Because the closer to Union Depot that you live as possible, the better disabled experience you're going to have in St. Paul. And St. Paul, I'm going to say, this is my opinion. Everyone has the right to different opinions. The city of St. Paul is 95% single family homes. And the only place you're really going to find nice apartments in St. Paul is in the downtown area. Well, because Minneapolis and St. Paul are kind of built differently. Like Minneapolis, you'll have the skyscrapers of downtown, and then you'll have a single family home developments with 5-story apartments mixed in and shopping. So if you go down Nicollet Avenue in South Minneapolis, or you go down Lake Street in South Minneapolis, that's kind of where their shopping is in, for example, Minneapolis. And then behind those shopping centers, you'll see 5 or 6 apartment buildings that are normally about 5 feet tall. Not 5 feet, but 5 stories tall. And then behind those, you'll have a bunch of single family homes. So, see, that's how kind of Minneapolis is kind of built. So if you're disabled or you're senior, you can live in those apartments along the shopping area and the buses. While St. Paul's a little bit different. If it's hard to find a good apartment outside the downtown area, because most of the apartments are in the downtown area. Because St. Paul is 95% single family homes, but a lot of the owners in the homes, they rent out their rooms to disabled people. And to single people who can't afford a massive house but still want to live in a single family housing development. So you know what I mean? So St. Paul still has a lot of opportunity, even if St. Paul's more car centric. Minneapolis is like our version of like New York City, while St. Paul is, is like a suburb of like New York City kind of feel. So even Bloomington, like a suburb of Minneapolis and St. Paul, has more density than St. Paul itself and more public transportation access than St. Paul itself. And then you have the 54 bus that goes between downtown Bloomington slash the Mall of America and the Union Depot in downtown St. Paul. So that's what I'm saying is, and then the Maplewood Mall, a major shopping area in the suburbs of St. Paul, has a bus that will take you from the Maplewood Mall to Union Depot. So the good thing is, if you're a disabled person, you live in downtown St. Paul by Union Depot, you can walk to Union Depot and get the bus out to the Maplewood Mall. You know what I mean? So a lot of the malls they're in the suburbs around the city of St. Paul have buses that'll take you to Union Depot. So then all the disabled people who live in downtown St. Paul, they can take the bus to the malls to go to work and shop, because the only reason why the malls let you take the bus there because they want you to spend money. So the world all around is money, you guys. So then Union, I'm gonna say, and then down here there's just a lot of apartment buildings and stuff, and you have stadiums, you have the couple stadiums, and you have this park here along the river that has like a bike trail, and then all around here there's restaurants, and as you can see it, because of all the stadiums and all the parks. And then it turns into like single family homes down here when you're following the river, because river property is high end property. And then the closer you get down to here in this part of St. Paul, you're just going to get more single family homes, more single family homes, and more single family homes. And this Highland Park right here neighborhood is, I call it the glam of Bloomington, the glam of St. Paul, because it is in the glam of Bloomington. That's my joke, because Bloomington and all that is right over here, and St. Paul is way up here. So when, like, for example, you take the 54 bus to the Mall of America / Bloomington, it literally goes through these neighborhoods all the way to like the kind of the Mall of America in the airport over here. So this neighborhood here, Highland Park, it used to be where the old Ford plant used to be in Minnesota, because Minnesota used to make Ford pickup trucks. So this used to be all pretty much factories. And then what they did was they turned a bunch of the land into where the factories used to be into high-end apartments, high-end townhouses, high-end condos. You mean? And then like luxury shops. You mean? And then here's some pictures of the beautiful this apartment building here used to be part of where like the old factories. And then you have a Kowalski's. A Kowalski's and is owned by a company called Lunds and Byerly's. And Lunds and Byerly's is a high-end grocery store here in Minnesota that competes with Cubs, Whole Foods, Thresh Thyme, and that kind of stuff. So it's a high-end market. So so they're turning like all the bunch of old factory land into things like this. As they're building out the area. And this area has the A bus, and this is one of the few neighborhoods. See, there's a Whole Foods too. This is Highland Park is one of the few neighborhoods in St. Paul that actually has a bus that doesn't go to Union Depot. Because most people who live in the Highland Park neighborhood, they work in Bloomington. So what happens is this bus goes from the suburb of Roseville in the Roseville Center, and it goes down this road called Snelling, that will take you to the Highland Park neighborhood, and then the A bus goes through there over the river, and it takes you to the Blue Line train, the Minneapolis train slash Bloomington train, and then from there you can take that train and go to the airport slash Mall of America. Because a lot of the people who live in the Highland Park neighborhood of St. Paul work at all the high end stores at the Mall of America, and they get paid really good money. And then they have a movie theater, because you can't live in an area without a movie theater. So then you have all these, and then this is the Mississippi River that divides Highland Park and Bloomington. And then see, this is a good example. So all in here is a bunch of single family homes, and then right there is like a random tower. Minneapolis has more of this, but St. Paul, and they're slowly, and see how like you have all the beautiful trees. And then Half Price Books is a good store, because they'll take nicely gent books that you buy, and then they'll buy it, and then they'll buy it from you, and they'll sell it in their store for a little bit cheaper. So you can at least make some of your money back. And I love this neighborhood in St. Paul, because I live in Columbia Heights, and this feels like Columbia Heights. And then when the river's dry, you can go, don't swim in the Mississippi because you'll be washed away. But people sit here in the riverbed, and they'll go fishing. And I've seen this church multiple times, because when it's a nice day, I will go to St. Paul and hang out with my cousin, and I'll walk this neighborhood. I love St. Paul, you guys. And then see, this is part of the new development that used to be part of the Ford plant. And this area, this area does have some areas that accept people with disabilities, because there's a law in Minnesota and the city of St. Paul that every new development that gets built has to have so many low-income housing units in it. And they're not big units, but hey, at least you can live in a nice luxury neighborhood. And then but this neighborhood, if you want to buy a single family home, is super expensive. But most disabled people don't have the money for a single family home. See, this is some of the leftover things of the factories. So, and then they have a new Arby's, all this new stuff. And see how they're building it more like a suburb? It's almost like this part of St. Paul is almost like you going to a Maple Grove, or a Plymouth, or a Wayzata. So in Minnesota, living along, I've been to this park before. I really like it, and I really like this place called Dave's Hot Chicken. And in this area, it's a really, really, really nice area. I could never afford to live in this area, but if like you can get one of the rare disabled people housing in this area, you're doing pretty good. And then let me see, and then there's this neighborhood too up here. It's called Manchester Groveland, and this neighborhood's also a high-end single-family neighborhood, and it has high-end fancy universities, like the University of St. Thomas, and a bunch of other high-end universities. Oh, see, right there. Haha, University of St. Thomas. And the University of St. Thomas, they have a location in downtown Minneapolis. That's their poor people location. And then you have like the University of St. Thomas here in St. Paul, and this is their rich people location, their main university. And it's right along the river, and all around here, there's around the university is a bunch of single family homes and stuff. And the A bus goes down through this neighborhood too. And that goes to Roseville. And Roseville is a very high-end suburb. It's very expensive. It's like the Maple Grove, the Plymouth, the Wayzata of St. Paul. and I'm comparing it to the fancy Minneapolis suburbs that are a little bit more famous, so then you can picture the class. So this neighborhood doesn't really have a bus that takes you to Union Depot because it's a high end neighborhood. They don't want the lower plebs just coming in. So this neighborhood here, that they have the A bus. At least you can get to Roseville, and then you can get to Bloomington, where like you can go shopping at the high end Mall of America and the high end Roseville. And then in this neighborhood you can walk a few blocks over, and you can get onto a regular bus that will take you to the Union Depot in downtown St. Paul. And this neighborhood here has a lot of, if you look around, see how they have a lot of like single family homes, and all, and they have these big boulevards. I have walked through this neighborhood before during the summer, and I took a lot of Instagram shorts. So if like you go to my Instagram, Dustin Lindberg, and on my YouTube channel, Dustin the Blind Minnesota, and on YouTube, you'll see shorts. A lot of my YouTube shorts are of this neighborhood. And I'm normally walking on the sidewalk here, and I'm taking a bunch of footage of the homes and stuff. Or I'm taking the A bus that goes down the other major street, and I'm taking footage of the bus so then I can get more footage in less time. So and then up here you have to be kind of more careful once you get above 94, because this neighborhood up here, it's a more low income neighborhood, because you're not really along the river anymore, because let me see if I can say this right, because Moranmum Park separates, and then the 94 separates you from the river. So this neighborhood here is a bunch of single family homes, luxury apartments, if there is some. Used to be more of the old Ford plant, and they turned it into more luxurious. But this, and so in this neighborhood doesn't really have public transportation. You have to kind of walk to Snelling / the A bus to get anywhere. But the good thing is, if like you live in these richer neighborhoods, the A bus does go past this road called University on the way to Roseville. And University has the Green Line train that will take you to Union Depot in downtown St. Paul, and it has a bunch of downtown Minneapolis, because the Green Line train also goes downtown Minneapolis. And the neighborhoods up here are more like everyday middle class people, and you get a lot of like University of Minnesota students that live here, because the highway up here, let me zoom in so I can tell you. I have a nickname for it because I don't drive, but the highway here, let me zoom up because Google Maps will actually tell me. That's why I have Google Maps up. Okay, 280. There you go. That's what I take the bus down all the time, but I don't really pay attention what the name of the road is because I'm not driving it. So 280 here divides Minneapolis, southeast Minneapolis, from St. Paul, and right here where I have the heart is where the University of Minnesota is. So this area over here has a lot of young people who can't afford to live on the U of M campus. So South St. Anthony Park, it has a lot of single family homes on it, but and a lot of the public transportation here will take you to the Union Depot in downtown St. Paul, and the U of M in southeast Minneapolis and downtown Minneapolis. So if you have public transportation, you need public transportation because you're disabled, this is a good neighborhood, because in St. Paul to get good public transportation, you have to live in low income neighborhoods. Well, in Minneapolis, all the neighborhoods have good public transportation, poor or rich, because Minneapolis slash Hennepin County is trying to push for green energy. So um, clean air, stop driving, biking, taking the bus. So Minneapolis is trying to push everyone to take public transportation, bike and walk and get out of cars. Well, St. Paul is not that woke. They're more Republican, St. Paul. So they're not about the walking, and the biking, and the public transportation like Minneapolis is. So, if you're disabled and you want to live in St. Paul and you want the city bus, you're going to have to live in more low income neighborhoods, or neighborhoods full of a lot of young people. Um, and I like St. Paul because there's it's more of a mixture. It's more, and up here is Roseville. I go to Roseville a lot to shop because they have all the stores and stuff I need. Um, and then you have the Midway neighborhood. I call it just Midway, but some people call it Hamline and Midway. But I just call it Midway because if you try to Google the Hamline neighborhood, nothing's not going to pop up on Google. But if you type in the Midway neighborhood, trust me, you're going to get a lot of good news articles and a lot of bad news articles. The Midway is a very low income neighborhood, but the good thing is, because of they have a lot of warehouses because of the trains, as you see. And they have like a little shopping area, but see, this is a picture of one of the city buses that you'll take. I don't know which one that is. But see, this is where it meets university. This is definitely like university, because I take the train past this all the time. I'm not the St. Paul expert because I don't go to St. Paul much, but a lot of my disabled friends live in St. Paul. So that's the only reason why I know St. Paul, because I have to go over there, see all these historic buildings in Midway. And what happens is they're turning a lot of the old historic buildings into low income housing. So there's a Goodwill outlet and a regular Goodwill in the Midway neighborhood. So whatever they can't sell at the Midway Goodwill, they send to the outlet, and then at the Goodwill outlet you pay per pound. So then you can buy a lot of stuff, and so a lot of disabled people live in this Midway neighborhood in St. Paul because it's affordable. And there's a Y. I walk past this Y all the time when I'm walking down and spending time on University. It's a very nice area. And then you have like a brewery over there and a bunch of restaurants. But according to Highland, but the income of people left here is less than Highland Park. So, and then you have a little place here and to drink at. So, and the rents here are going to be way more affordable than Highland Park. So, and then and the only thing you have to be careful is sometimes at night, there's people doing drugs and stuff in the neighborhood on the corner. During the day, the Midway neighborhood is really safe because because the people are sleeping. But the closer you get to dark, the Midway neighborhood becomes cheesy. In this Axeman store, it's really worth going to because what happens is they're a liquidation center. So whatever people return to Amazon and all that stuff, what happens is in Walmart, Target, it goes to like a liquidation house. like a warehouse, and then companies like Axeman can buy them, and once they buy them, they unload these cardboard boxes into their stores, and you can buy stuff at a discount. And the reason why it is a discount is because the items are not perfect. Like, my version of Axeman is a place called Discount 70 in Columbia Heights here, and they sell you can get an end table there for $10. But the reason why it's $10 because it might have paint missing on one side. You mean, or it might have a huge scratch on it, or you mean, or something got wrecked during shipping. But I normally would pay the $10, fix it up, and and I got good Target furniture for $10. So Axeman, the Axeman store is like their version of Discount 70. And you have parks, and this is from the YMCA. So if you live in this neighborhood, you'll have the swimming pool, and it's really good to have access to a swimming pool because in Minnesota it gets very, very, very warm in the summer, like almost like 100 degrees. So you would want this park. So this part of St. Paul, it's for a low income neighborhood. The Midway neighborhood is a really good place. And then this Menards is cool because they sell normal things that Menards has, and then they also sell groceries. So then you can go there and you can buy groceries too if you're disabled and you don't want to walk a long ways to get groceries or take the bus anywhere. You can just walk to this Menards if you live in the apartment buildings behind it and just go and do your grocery shopping there. So this neighborhood is pretty good. I support it. And then up here you have the Como Park neighborhood. The Como Park neighborhood is a high-end neighborhood, just like the lot of other neighborhoods along the river. And the reason why Como Park is worth a lot of money is because of the lake. In Minnesota, if you live along water, you're going to end up paying lots of money for it. So, and what also makes it famous, I'll just tell you, is the Como Zoo. And the Como Zoo is a non-profit zoo, and they make all their money from donations and donations from the city of St. Paul. So and then Como Zoo adds a lot of money to this neighborhood, and adds a lot of value, plus the lake. And this neighborhood, you'll find high-end homes. You can find homes up to $1 million, but the good thing I like about this neighborhood is the Como neighborhood is they at least have some low-income housing too, because a lot of the old mansions in this area were converted to apartments. So low-income apartments. And the north end, I have never really spent that much time there, but it's built similarly to the Como neighborhood. Bunch of single family homes and just random stores tucked in between. Like you can see some of the stores I bookmarked while taking the bus. So I bookmarked some places while taking the bus through the neighborhood. So I've been there, but I don't really know that much about the neighborhood. Yeah, so you know what I mean? But it's just when I took the bus through there, it was just a bunch of single family homes and then high-end apartments once in a while. And then this right here is a Capitol building. It's called the Capitol neighborhood because everything in this neighborhood is just government offices and stuff. It's really boring. It's just government offices. And then over here in this neighborhood, I forget. Okay, the Thomas Dale neighborhood, you'll find a bunch of high-end apartments. And the reason why that is because a lot of people who can afford to live here work at the Capitol. That's like literally right there. And downtown St. Paul is very small compared to downtown Minneapolis. It's kind of really sad how small downtown St. Paul is because just just the downtown St. Paul area is like one neighborhood in downtown Minneapolis. That's how massive downtown Minneapolis is, that downtown St. Paul will just be one neighborhood. So, yeah, and then the downtown St. Paul has a bunch of, not a bunch. Compare not compared to Minneapolis, but in others compared to other cities like Duluth, St. Cloud, Rochester, Minnesota. St. Paul has two stadiums. One is for the St. Paul Saints, and the St. Paul Saints. The Minneapolis has the Twins. The St. Paul has the St. Paul Saints. And the St. Paul Saints is not as famous as the Twins, the Minneapolis Twins. But a lot of people just know them as the Twins. But technically they're the Minneapolis Twins. And and the St. Paul Saints, they do have a very nice stadium. It's not as fancy as a Twin Stadium in Minneapolis, so slash Target Field, because they don't get it. The St. Paul Saints Stadium doesn't get the same money as the Twins, because the Twins at Target Field, they get a lot of money and from Target, and because the Twins get a lot of money from Target, that's why their field is called Target Field. While the St. Paul Saints, they don't really have any big funders like Target, so they have a bunch of smaller companies donating to them, but none of them like the Twins in Minneapolis. But I love the St. Paul Saints Stadium because it's they sell snacks and it feels more of like a small mom pop baseball team. They're really actually big compared like the St. Cloud baseball team and the Rochester baseball team and the Duluth baseball team. And and their tickets, the St. Paul Saints tickets are way more affordable than the tickets for the Twins, because the Twins are more popular and they're famous in most of the 50 states. People are more willing to pay for their tickets than the St. Paul Saint tickets. So the St. Paul Saint tickets are a little bit more affordable. And then I've been walking around, you find these cool coffee shops in the morning, because these coffee shops, are more for office workers who used to work in the office buildings around this area. And the good thing about downtown St. Paul is a lot of the office buildings are being converted, into apartments. So that's a good thing, in my opinion. And this is more downtown St. Paul, and then we have like the Xcel Energy Center and all that stuff. Who does not like the Xcel Energy Center? And the Xcel Energy Center is very famous for our hockey. We do also have a hockey team in Minneapolis and a basketball team, but they're not as famous as the Wild, who play in St. Paul at the Xcel Energy Center. And then right here is like a major park, and this park has a trail that will take you all the way up to northeast Minneapolis, over by Columbia Heights, where I live. So technically, if I really wanted to, I can bike from Columbia Heights along the river here slash Fridley, and bike all the way along the river and come all the way down here to downtown St. Paul. And then I can bike all the way down here and end up in the suburbs of like Maplewood and and all the suburbs over here. So you mean so and this part of St. Paul is kind of weird because you have a bunch of big homes between the highway and the park. So now this part of St. Paul, I'm the east part. Now this is all just the west side of St. Paul because this highway here, let me zoom it in so I can tell you the right highways. 35W slash 35 East, whatever you want to kind of call it. My side is 35W, and this side is 35 East. Divide St. Paul into a west half and an east half. So you mean 35E. So I was just showing you the west side of St. Paul. Now this is kind of the east side. And honestly, I don't know that much about the east side of St. Paul because, you know, I don't have anyone that lives over there. All my friends, family, my cousin, and all the shops I go are pretty much on the west side of St. Paul because I live in Columbia Heights, so I only come down to St. Paul to see my family and friends. Well, most of my life I'm a Minneapolis person, so yay Minneapolis, woohoo, supreme over St. Paul, boo St. Paul. And then you have a bunch. You have like the east side of St. Paul is very okay. So the west side of St. Paul is very white and African American, while the east side of St. Paul is more Asian and Mexican. And then you have a lot of Mexican stores and stuff. And I have this bookmarked because sometimes I take the 61 bus that goes from North Minneapolis through the northern neighborhoods of St. Paul, and then it goes through into Maplewood, and then down the major road here. Let me zoom in so I can tell you. This case for the ones who can't see. Road 61. Some people call it Highway 61 because it has that much traffic, but I call it a regular road because there's still lots of lights and stuff. And I took the bus here, and I saw these restaurants. Let me click on it, and I can show you. You mean some of the street? Yep, right here. Still the 61. And then in this 54 bus here will take you from the Maplewood Mall in Maplewood, Minnesota, through downtown Minneapolis. Through downtown St. Paul. Sorry, Minneapolis is always on my mind because I'm a Minneapolis kid. So the 54 will take you from the Maplewood Mall in Maplewood all the way to downtown St. Paul, drops people off at Union Depot, and then goes to the Mall of America in Bloomington. So this 54 bus is a major bus route. So if you want to have good public transportation and shop in Maplewood and the Mall of America in Bloomington, you want to live along the 54 bus. So then it gives you more opportunities. As I'm mentioning things, me always mentioning things. And then so I only been to this neighborhood kind of once or twice while taking the bus through it, and to get to the Maplewood Mall. And I only been to Maplewood Mall 3 times. So then there's a lot of single family homes and small 5-story apartments in this neighborhood. And there's a lot of mom and pop grocery stores because it's full of a lot of low income people, and big corporate companies like Cubs, Walmart, Target, because they're nervous about going into more low income neighborhoods. So then mom and pop grocery stores kind of take over. And that's a good thing because the issue is how I feel is if we let big corporate grocery stores take over every neighborhood in America, when they decide to leave, people will literally starve because they have no access to food. But if there's a mom and pop grocery store and then there's Walmart, if Walmart leaves, at least the mom and pop grocery store is still in the neighborhood to supply people with food. So, and then it doesn't become a food desert. So then, along this road, and then along in this neighborhood over here, there's a bunch of mom and pop businesses, and you can see I bookmarked them here. As one time I took the bus through this multiple 2 or 3 times as I took the bus through this neighborhood, and there's a lot of Asian places. And this over here used to be this neighborhood over here used to have a lot of factories, but then what happens is the when the factory sold, they kind of just knocked them down and built more homes. And now with St. Paul, you know what I mean, has this massive lake here, and I've been to this park once. I only been once, so I don't know if it's really good or not. I think you call it Fallon. A lot of people in the Hmong community won't call it Fallon because they say it their way, but a lot of the English speakers we call it Fallon. I love this place because this place mixes American culture with Asian culture and Hispanic culture because they have like a whole Asian garden. They have a whole Asian garden I saw there one time. They have a Mexican kind / South American kind of theme space. And this lake you can actually go swimming in. Like the Mississippi River, don't go swimming in. Como, the Como Lake, you can't go swimming in because of all the chemicals and all that stuff from around the lake. It's kind of dangerous. But this lake you can actually swim in and you won't die. You actually won't die from chemicals and poisoning and garbage if you go swimming in this lake, because this is one of the lakes that they allow you to swim in St. Paul. And then see this highway right here splits Maplewood and St. Paul. Oh yep, it's still the Highway 61. And over here now it's a different name of the park because you're in Maplewood. So, but technically if you really wanted to, you can bike all through this area, all connected with bike trails and stuff. And let me see. There's a Cub Foods over here. Over here, there's like a Cub Foods and stuff. Because I walked down this road before. Yeah. So then if you're walking down here, you get like a Cub Foods, and you mean. Let me just type it in. Let me see if I can find it. Because my Google should know. Because I've been there before. Cub Foods, East St. Paul. And then it'll pop up a list. Okay, let's see. Yep, Maplewood, right here. So I've been to this Cub Foods before by walking, because I was walking around the park one time and I got thirsty. So then I came off and I came over here to there you go. So then you guys can actually see, to get some water, because the park is like over like 3 miles. So I finished up my water and I needed more water. So then you do have a grocery store like this, like a Cub Foods on the east side of St. Paul, but most of the stores are mom and pop. And then Cubs, Cubs is a Minnesota brand, so it's our version of Kroger. So when a lot of mom and pop businesses go bust in St. Paul, like a couple, like 10, 15 years ago, Cubs came through and bought them out. So Cubs, normally when a mom and pop grocery store fails, a lot of times Cubs will go to that location and see if it's big enough for their store. Because some of the mom and pop grocery stores that they buy out that failed in the neighborhood, they'll buy them if they're big enough. Sometimes they say no because the stores are too small. Because Cubs needs a certain amount of space, and they have an Aldi's over here too. Because Cubs rents some of their strip mall to an Aldi's. I think the Aldi's is more over here. And then over here they have a pizza place and all that kind of stuff. because Cubs has a, that's why there's a great thing right here, because there's a huge kind of strip mall here. And then over here, I did, okay, see, now I kind of know where I'm at. I went to, there's a good Asian place. I don't know how to say it, but I have ate here multiple times. There go. BP Sushi. Okay, it's right here. It says best price sushi. I have been here like once or twice, and I like it because okay, I will eat sushi. I won't eat octopus. I don't like it. I will eat like lobster and stuff if they pop it out. Like to me, lobster tastes good, but I don't like doing all the work for the little amount of meat in the lobster. And I don't like it how they boil the lobster alive to make it. If they killed the lobster first by cutting off its head or something and let it die and then cooked it, and they were not cooking it so cruelly, I would eat more lobster. Shrimp, I would eat shrimp and stuff, but I mean, like some seafood, if I still have to see the head and the eyeballs, and I literally have to like descale it to actually eat it after it's cooked, no. But if a restaurant or someone will descale it and kill it properly for me, like kill it before you cook it and not cook it alive, I will eat the sushi. But no octopus. To me, I'm like, oh, no. And then, over here, there's like, a bunch of like Asian grocery stores and all that stuff. It's just, I don't, and then, there's a bunch of laundromats because, perfect, right in the same strip mall. I'm trying to use an example over here. Because a lot of the rare apartment buildings that are over here that are affordable for people with disabilities, they don't have laundry rooms because they were built before people had laundry rooms. So then, they have like laundromats, that you can go to. This part of St. Paul, it took me a while to adjust to because the Minneapolis poor and the St. Paul poor are two completely different levels. The St. Paul poor is like it reminds me of the poorness that you'll find in California or Florida or Texas. And the rich communities are like high end, like the ones you would find in Florida, California, and Texas. Like two completely different worlds. So when I come over here to East St. Paul, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, if this was in Minneapolis, this would not fly. So I don't really know that much over here. So I'm not going to say any more comments about this over here because I don't really know the east side of St. Paul because I never really go there because I don't have no friends or family that live over there, so I don't really need to go. But I do have a lot of restaurants bookmarked because I want to try. So then if you live on the east side of St. Paul, I grew up in the suburbs, so I'm a suburban kid, so I love my malls, okay? I can go there as a disabled person who can't drive, walk the mall, and be in not negative 15 degree weather, so. And then, there's like a little bus depot here that you can like park in and then take the bus to Union Depot on the 54, and there's other buses. There's also a bus here at the Maplewood Mall. I don't know anything about this bus, okay? But it will take you from the Maplewood Mall to the Rosedale Center Mall in Roseville. So then the people on the east side of St. Paul can easily get to Roseville on the west side of kind of St. Paul. But the bus runs like every 2 or 3 hours. So it doesn't run that frequent because not that many people will need to take a bus between Maplewood and Roseville. So I don't know how often that bus runs, and I honestly don't know. But I do like the Maplewood Mall. I went there twice, and the Maplewood Mall has a lot of mom-pop businesses in them. So the Maplewood Mall has a lot of mom-pop businesses in them mixed with corporate. While the Rosedale Center has mostly high-end stores that that me as a like they have a high-end store that is like like a French version of Nordstrom's. You mean they have like, they have like the fancy IKEA store. You mean there's like high-end stores there that Macy's is high-end, but I actually I actually like shopping at Macy's, so I don't complain about that. But you mean they have like that kind of stuff there, but they do have like some pod businesses moving in to replace some of the anchors like J.C. Penney's and stuff that are leaving the mall. While Roseville is more high end, premium, rich, elite, while Maplewood, because of the clients on the east side are more low income, it's more of a low income mall. So, and then, like any other American mall, there's strip malls around the Maplewood Mall with Burlington, TJ Maxx, and all that kind of stuff, more low income people stores. Or Ross. Ross is pretty much like a TJ Maxx. They're actually owned by TJ Maxx. You mean? So let me zoom in here so you can actually see it. So then, there is like strip malls outside the mall. And if Maplewood was a little bit closer, I would take the bus to Maplewood. But because, there's everyday people things. But in Columbia Heights, where I live, I just go to the Northtown Mall in Blaine. Or I go to the strip malls in Brooklyn Center. In between Blaine and Brooklyn Center, I kind of, in Fridley, I have everything I kind of need. Because I'm not really like a high-end mall person. And then, if you also live in this side of the east side of St. Paul, you also can take the bus to Woodbury. I don't know anything about the Woodbury and the Woodbury bus route, but there is a bus that goes from East St. Paul to Woodbury, and Woodbury has a major shopping center too. And but I don't know that much about Woodbury. And the Maplewood is kind of a weird kind of shape because the Maplewood Mall's up here. The Maplewood kind of has this weird border that goes all the way down here and then separates it almost to Woodbury. I don't know why Maplewood's in that weird shape, but it just is. And then, so then when like you say that, hey, I'm a disabled person, I'm shopping in Maplewood, you could be almost Woodbury, or you could be in the northern part of Maplewood. So, and then as funny is, and then Maplewood separates North St. Paul from regular St. Paul. So it's kind of weird that way. And then and down here, you have West St. Paul, and that's a different city than St. Paul. And then you have South St. Paul, that's also a different city from St. Paul. And then, you have Bloomington over here, and Intergrove. Oh, Mondona's here. I forgot about Mondona. And then you have Intergrove Heights somewhere down here too. Yeah, Intergrove Heights down here. Somewhere down here. So, and then you have like Eagan, that's a suburb of St. Paul, and Eagan's really huge. The closer you get to like St. Paul, the more it kind of feels like St. Paul. But the closer you get south you get newer luxury homes, and it feels more like of a Maple Grove. So, well, guys, that is the intro of St. Paul. And, in St. Paul, and if you move into an area that does not have good city bus service because you can't afford it, you can sign up for this service called Metro Mobility, and Metro Mobility will help you get around in St. Paul. But because they're like more like a ride service, sharing service. But Metro Mobility is not the best way to get around St. Paul. The city buses. The city bus is way quicker, way more reliable. If you know the bus schedules and time things right, than taking Metro Mobility. Well, guys, I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.